Hello, and welcome to Beyond Books, where we talk about books and always go beyond. I'm your host. I'm Renee. She co-host Raina. She's under a bit of a protest right now because she wants to be at the park, and she's got her sunglasses on. She had my hat. I guess she thought I was ready to go, but it's just a little bit too hot to go to the park. So, Raina, I'm sorry, baby. Yeah, that's the hat I wear at the park. Sorry. We'll take these off. There we go. How about you that's kind of stylish, You could leave them like that, baby. Like that. That looks pretty good. I don't know. Yeah. She's not too happy. But anyway, she went to the park yesterday, so that was good. She walked on a trail for a while, and I did do some video of it, which I'll put together and maybe put up next week. And she's probably going to go one of the days this weekend, so I'm sure she'll be fine. But anyway, this week we did go out a couple of times. I do have one video of us together at the park, Raina and I. It's a park that has a little bit of history in it called Freedom Park. And if you want to check out that video, that was just uploaded this week. Also, this week I uploaded the tag for the Phenomenal Women tag. And also, I believe I uploaded the unboxing of my book of the month. I think that was this week. And that book was First Lie Wins. I'm almost finished with it. Don't have very much to go. I might finish it either tonight or probably tomorrow. This is by Ashley Elston. And again, this was my book of the month for August, and very enjoyable. So look forward to doing a review. And as soon as I get that done, I'll be putting up that review. But what I want to talk to you about today is a book that I read actually last month. The name of it is A Man Called Ove, and it is by Fredrik Backman. And I have some questions about the book that I'm going to answer. I read this as part of the Ellen Made Book Club. If you haven't seen the Ellen Made Book Club channel, I'll have a link in the description below. Definitely worth checking out. And A Man Called Ove was one of the books that Ellen had in her book club last month, July. And that was the one that I chose to read. So I had sent some questions to her about the book, which she answered in one of her videos. And then she took also some questions from some of her other viewers, and she answered those. So now I'm going to answer those same questions. And I also asked her if she had any further questions. And so I've got those on here too. So there are quite a few questions to answer. But I just want to let you know that there are some spoilers in this video on the book. So if you haven't read it and you don't like spoilers, this may not exactly be the video for you. But otherwise, I mean, I really don't think they're bad spoilers. It probably aren't things that you don't already know, because this book has been out for a little while. So let's get started with the questions. First, I'm going to answer the three that I asked of her. So the first one is, do you know or have you ever known someone like Ove? So I'm going to say yes, is the short answer, but I think we can all be a little bit like Ove at times. Stubborn, closed-minded, resistant. I think that's probably why the book had so much popularity. We don't always like Ove, perhaps, but if we are being honest with ourselves, then we probably could all admit to having these traits at times. I've learned to look at my behaviors and thoughts and feelings and try to figure out why that part of myself is coming out when it is. What is the resistance all about? what is the shutting down and not wanting things to change and holding on tightly? What is that all about? So I guess now, after reading the book, I can call that channeling my inner Ove. So the next question that I had asked, can you think of a time in your life when you resisted change as much as Ove does? And believe it or not, I can actually get that way about moving. We've moved quite a bit in our lives, lived in several different states, Donna and I. So you would think that we would be pros at it, and in a lot of ways we are, but there will always be, I think, for the both of us, a period of time within that move where the stress and the resistance to change gets the better of us. So again, I think recognizing it early and kind of having a self-awareness about it really helps a lot, so that it doesn't, spoil your week or your weekend or your move or your relationship or your life. So yeah, I think a little self-awareness goes a long way. Is there something you admire about Ove? And I'm going to say yes, I admire his ability to be self-sufficient. He can fix anything. And I admire how much he loves his wife and is dedicated to her. It's really very touching how it's presented in the story. And again, I think it's something that kind of causes people to be drawn to this story that is otherwise about a curmudgeon-y old guy. So now these are some questions that Ellen's viewers had sent in for her. As an optimistic and usually joyful person, I found it quite hard to relate to the main character. The very grumpy and pessimistic worldview was so strongly shown that it took away from the reading enjoyment, even when I knew where it came from. Any thoughts on that? And how did you relate to and or like Ove? And did this have an impact on your reading experience? So I'm going to say, excuse me, I need a sip of beverage here. So I'm going to say, yeah, I also consider myself an optimistic person. So when I was first introduced to Ove, I admit he was a little off-putting for me. As far as a grumpy, pessimistic worldview, well, again, I think many of us, if not all of us, tend to kind of maybe get in that kind of slump from time to time. But once I got to know Ove better, it did not really impact my reading experience at all. I feel like I was starting to anticipate his pessimism and his insistence on rules, and it just kind of became a part of his personality. So also it made it just start to get humorous at a point. I thought it was funny that he was considered to be so old and unable to change, but yet he was only 59. Let's just say that I wish I were 59. But I think it goes to show that attitude and outlook and ways of approaching life, particularly during difficult times, can go a long way in determining your true age. So, you can have someone who is 59 and even younger being considered old, and someone maybe 80 years old who you love dearly and you love to talk to and you look forward to seeing all the time, partly just because of their disposition and ability to make you feel good. Because a lot of what we like in other people is that they help to make us feel good. So the next question is, in what ways did you empathize with Ove? Well, I felt empathy for Ove, having to see his wife become ill and deteriorate in her physical condition before passing. I think that would be really difficult to go through. And because you know the person you fell in love with is still in there somewhere, and you know that person's hopes and dreams, and you know that they would make it different if they could. It's hard to be a caregiver, I think, for anyone. But for a spouse, I think there are really special concerns because the caregiver has needs too, and their support person is slipping away from them. So definitely Uva has been through some stuff, and it's not an excuse for him to turn into a crabby old dude, but I could understand the reasons behind it a little bit better once I got to know more. So next question is, how did you feel about the suicide aspect, and did your views change? Well, I thought the whole situation with Uva wanting to commit suicide and always getting interrupted was kind of interesting. I think Uva was really like manifesting all of these different neighbors to come into his life just so they could give him a second chance and a new lease on life, so to speak. He had ambivalent feelings about checking out, and therefore he was actually allowing more people into his world, and therefore he started finding other things to do that caused, in his own words, him to not really be able to leave this world. Uva needs to feel needed. He's a very practical man. And so at the same time that he was plotting suicide, he was also, in a way, giving himself more reasons to stay. I don't feel my views changed, but neither did Uva's. Remember, he doesn't want to change. But if there's enough to do, then he doesn't have to commit suicide because he's still relevant. So that's kind of more the way that I see it. Next question. Has the story made you rethink anything in real life, particularly about making people feel needed? For this, I said maybe a little bit. I think we're all basically here for a reason, and we do stuff day to day. Sometimes we don't even know why, but everything we do has an impression to make on someone, good or bad. I don't know if we can make others feel needed necessarily, but we can help them feel appreciated for what they do. And in turn, that makes it easier for us to appreciate ourselves and our lives. And it encourages that person to continue to be helpful. So it's kind of more of a cycle to me than a one-off or something you might do purposefully, other than to look for ways to appreciate and to be grateful. So do you think people of our generation have lost many of the practical skills and values that Uva espouses? And do you think our generation does better? Okay, well, I'm from Uva's generation, I guess. So I need to answer this carefully, right? But no, I actually think a lot of the generation opinions and arguments I hear that pit one generation against the other are really pretty silly. For me to walk around expecting everyone to act and think and live like we did in the 60s and 70s, well, that would be ridiculous. As far as skills are concerned, well, there's a whole new set of skills needed to navigate today's world than there were back in the day. So when I was younger, lots of things were mechanical. They were made in the USA, and they were repairable. My dad was a fix-it guy, so if something broke, he could fix it. So I kind of grew up with that mindset. But nowadays, many things are digital. They're made of plastic. They're made all over the world by companies you've never heard of. And they are meant to be used and then tossed aside. Hopefully recycled in some ways, but not always. So much has changed, but I don't think that values really have. So, I think some of the skills that we're talking about are really outdated. You're not going to be fixing some of the things that you buy today as opposed to things you bought in the 50s and 60s. I think that the generations younger than me, as far as being better at something, are better at talking about how they feel and honoring the feelings of others. And that's a very good thing. I think that they're better at relaxing and enjoying themselves. I don't know if it's because we've been through a lot as baby boomers or just what, but I can understand how we must look and act a little uptight uh, to other people in the younger generation. I think younger people tend to break the rules more. And while we're talking about rules, my generation did it too. And the one before me did it when they were younger. So sometimes it's necessary to break rules in order to move forward. So the next question is, if you've read any other Fredrik Backman books, how does Ove compare? Now, I have not, but I do have several of them, including one that I plan to read in October, and that's Beartown. So I'll be reading that soon in just a couple of months. Now, you notice I don't actually have my copy of A Man Called Ove. Why? I don't know. It escaped somewhere. I went to look for it and I couldn't find it. I brought some books to the Goodwill about a week or two ago, and I've got a funny feeling that it was in that pile, and it shouldn't have been, but there you are. So I guess, I don't know, A Man Called Ove ran off with, somebody else. I don't know. Anyway, the next three questions are from Ellen of Ellen Made Book Club. And the first one is, could you relate to Ove in any way in terms of his outlook on people and the rules, etc.? And I said, heck yeah. I try not to get all fired up about rules and things like that, but when you see certain people in our society who continually get away with things all the time, you tend to get on your high horse about rules. It seems like there are some people who get away with a lot, and deep in my own heart, I know that I wouldn't want to be one of those people, because I think that a little structure helps us all live a better life together. But still, it can get on my nerves to see the same people, run the same game and just get away with things. Again, I think once in a while I channel my inner Ove. So the next question she asked was, did you have any favorite characters other than Ove? And if so, why did you like them? Well, even though we don't get to actually meet Ove's wife, Sonia, we do get to know her a little bit through Ove's memories of her, and she does seem very likable. Maybe she deserves a reward for putting up with Ove for many years. But she does, I think, understand Ove, and she definitely has a calming effect on him. And I also want to give an honorable mention to Jimmy. He was a neighbor of Ove's, and he just seemed like a nice guy. I just liked his character for that reason. He seemed like someone you might want to live next door to yourself and get to know. So I like Jimmy. Was there ever a moment where you felt like Ove crossed a line of acceptable behavior? And if so, what do you think he should have done instead? Well, that's kind of the whole thing about Ove. We may think that, but he doesn't. He's kind of incapable of going about things any other way. And it's funny because he's all about the rules, yet he breaks society's kind of like social norms, if not actual rules, all the time. It's easy to say, well, he should have minded his own business in this situation or that situation. But he needs other people more than even what he thinks. So it's kind of impossible for him to leave the situations alone. They really are like his channel into meeting people. They really are kind of his social currency that he deals in, if you want to put it that way. So we need our inner Ove, I think, as a mirror into our own behavior. We need to cross lines and boundaries in order to learn better ways. And in the end, Ove did that. So in that sense, all turned out well. So that is my questions about the book A Man Called Ove by Fredrik Backman. Now, if you like my content, please like, subscribe, give me a comment, give me a thumbs up. I thank you very much for watching. Take care and have a great weekend.